We're now going to talk about some basic groundwork that I like to have on my horses. We're just going to go into short detail here since this is just kind of a quick tip. And we'll go into more detail in all of these aspects in our courses and our other series. But the basics that I'd like to see out of my horse is essentially I want to see that I can get them in balance. And what that means is I want to be able to move them forwards, backwards, left, and right equally. I want to be able to use 4 phases of pressure. I want to be able to direct 4 feet, and I want to be able to do it in 4 directions. So I call those the 3 4s. You have 4 phases, 4 feet, 4 directions. Now, each of these have individual little techniques. We'll kind of go over them here real quickly for you. But essentially, for the forward at first, what I might do is just offer this horse to send. Now, notice here as I get ready how he steps back. I don't want my horses pushy and leaning on me. Like I like him to be gentle and I like him to be friendly, but I don't like him to be up in me. So notice how as I got ready, he got ready. He's not going to be loping circles right here next to me, so there's no reason for him to get ready and lean on me. He needs to get ready by yielding. So what I'm going to do here, my first set of 4 phases is going to be a lead, lift, swing, touch. So essentially I'm just going to reach out here with my left hand is my lead, and then my lift, swing, touch, if needed, is going to be over here in my right hand. So real basically, it just looks here. I'm going to reach out here with my left. That gives the direction, and then I'm going to support the direction here with my right hand. And notice as I do a little bit more, he starts to do a little bit more. So then I'm going to maybe switch directions. I'm just going to slide up on this lead rope. I'm going to reach out to the side. Then I'm going to lift my other side here. Now right there, he's kind of thinking of another maneuver that we do along the wall. And I'll just kind of reassure him and let him know, hey, we're going this way. So notice I didn't tell him no or anything. He's actually doing the right thing. We've been working on that last week a little bit, so he's kind of thinking of something else. So I just re-signal for what I wanted, and that's why we use the rhythm. And notice there, after he got a little bit confused, how he just settles into the maneuver. He softens his head and neck, just has a nice little easy trot, and comes around real nice here. So that was good that he did that, so you guys can kind of see how we work through there. So I'm going to lead, lift, swing if necessary. And notice as I build the phases, he builds his motion, and then also notice once his motion's good, then I'm just going to leave it be here. I'm not going to do a bunch of extra stuff. I'll just let him be quiet here. Rather than clucking and swinging and clucking and pushing and driving while he's going, I'm just going to kind of let him be. Now, if he were to slow down, then I might step in there and do something about it, but he's doing pretty good. Now from here, I might want to get him stopped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on this lead rope. I'm going to focus my attention on his hind quarters. I'm going to start walking to his hind quarters. I'm going to wait for this left hind foot to step up underneath him and soften. Now notice there, he's not really sure. Are we sending? Are we turning? What are we doing? So I'm just going to kind of wait. I'm going to follow my feet towards his hind feet. And just wait until he softens and he relaxes a little bit. There he's starting to, so then I might just hold this frame and wait until he stops there. So that's the hind feet. So just as a quick review, we'll send him off. So I'm going to lead, lift there, and then to stop him, I'm going to draw. I'm going to look here towards his hind quarters. And I could do the same thing. If he was just really pulling and struggling, I could lift this lead rope up, swing it, and then push that hind quarters over if needed. Now he's young, he's not really sure about all this stuff yet, so he's going to be just a little bit looky and a little bit leery, but as we do these things more, he'll settle into them. So as he comes around here, I'm going to send him, and then I'm going to draw, take the hindquarters the other way. And I might just do this a whole bunch. I'll send him one way, make sure he stays out of my space, gets out on his circle, then I'll reach down here and draw and take his hindquarters for the other way. And I'm going to send here, have him come around, soften, and then I'm going to draw and take his hindquarters there. And as I do this more, he'll just get softer and softer, better and better, more and more relaxed. But this is just kind of a warm-up exercise for these horses. Notice there, he's just a little bit different on the left side there. So then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue around here. And I'm going to come in closer to this horse. I'm going to draw on his nose. I'm going to step into the hindquarters. Now, he's sensitive enough. I don't have to do a lot of swinging and tapping and pushing. But if he did, I would just simply pick up my right hand, I'd swing this rope, and then I'd touch him if he needed it. Now, this isn't a kid's horse, all right? Maybe someday he will be, but we're trying to keep him fairly sensitive, so he doesn't need a whole lot. But if your horse needs a little more pressure to get motivated, I just pick the rope up, swing it, touch him if necessary. And then I might come over here to the other side. I'll come around here, draw on his nose, walk towards his hindquarters, pick this up if needed, and send him over. Now, like right there, see how he steps back? He's not doing anything wrong. We also back them up. All I would do is I just reach my hand forward, wait until the feet, see like there, wait for the feet to come forward to my hand. Then I would draw my hand over and wait for the hindquarters to come through. So I could go back and forth like that for a while. The next thing I like to do is I like to be able to push the front end over. So I'm going to step up here by my horse's shoulder. I'm going to take my lead rope and I'm going to take the short piece and put it right here in my right hand by his shoulder. And I'm going to walk forward. So now the tail of my rope is up here on the left. And I'm going to be looking here for him to yield his nose and his shoulder away from me. Now what a lot of horses like to do here is they like to come forward. So what I could do then is if I've taught this horse to back up, is I'll put a little bit of pressure on this lead rope here, and I'd wait for those feet to back off, just like I waited for him to come forward just a second ago. So now that he's backing, then I could ask less for the backup, start pushing towards his nose and his shoulder again until he yields. Now at first, you're not going to ask him around and around like that. This is just for an example, but you just come up here, get a step or two, and release. Come up here, get a step or two, and then release. Now in the case that your horse wants to back up all the time, maybe he's too far back, I might just switch my hand here, and I might draw him forward as I ask for the turn. Every horse is going to be a little different. But eventually what I want is I should be able to loosen this rein, this lead rope, and just let him step around here on his own. He doesn't have to have a perfect pivot foot or anything, but I would like for him to kind of turn on his own. Just like so. He has to have some responsibility. Like in the catching video, he kind of looked me up, faced up, and helped me get him caught. He wasn't completely evasive there. So the same thing here. I'm looking for him to have a certain level of responsibility. So here, he's backing up a little too much, so I'll draw him forward. And I'll wait till he steps through. Keep pushing this front end. There, he found it. Wait for him to step around. So little at a time here. Just like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. He's kind of backing out of the camera there. So I'll bring him way out here. I didn't really like how that last one finished. He wasn't bad, but we'd like to finish him on a step over, on a step back. There he goes. Good. So that's kind of the basics of that. We've got the sending, we've got the hindquarters, and we've got the shoulder. We've kind of gone over the backing, but we'll cover it here again. What I want to do here again is I'm going to think about my 4 phases. So maybe in this one we'll use physical pressure. So what I've been doing is driving pressure. Okay, that's an air pressure. So like when I lead, lift, swing, touch, that's a driving or air pressure. We're going to switch to a physical pressure now, and that's here. I'm going to reach for the halter. And notice how he gets ready for me, just like he did in the foot picking up video. He got ready for me. So I'm always going to be watching and looking for my horses to get ready. What you might notice on some horses is they get ready, but they get ready against you. You reach for them and they brace up. You reach for them to go catch them and they look away. You go to pick up their foot and they put more weight on it. Okay, so they're getting ready also, but they're getting ready for what we call a try to quit instead of a try to try. Now the same thing here, once he gets going, I'm going to let him be. A person might say, well, how do you get that? It's like, well, when he tries, I leave him be. So then pretty soon his try will develop a release spot that he looks for. You might say, well, still, how do you get that? It's like, well, if he's up here with his head and he's not wanting to back, and I'm pushing and pushing and clucking and prying and prodding and pulling and just hoping this works, I'm going to wait till there's a little change. Maybe he just takes a step. Maybe that's a place where I release. Maybe he drops his nose just an inch or two. That could be a place where I release. And I don't necessarily have to let all the way go, but I could let my hand up a little. And then eventually, there's his head, there's his nose, and then his foot. And then I'll let go. And then there's his neck a little bit, and there's his nose, and there's his foot. I could release a little bit. But if he were to come up here and be tight and bracy and stuff, I will just wait him out. Now, for some of you might, I've had horses where I'm here for like 3 to 4 to 5 minutes waiting, and eventually they do that. But I might have to wait a really long time. It just depends how much pressure have you put on your horse without him having to acknowledge you. That's really your answer. If you've taught him to ignore you, and now you want him to listen to you, this may take a little while to transition. But once he figures out the answer here, I've never had a horse that wasn't willing to give this a try. Now, if I wanted to do this with more of an air pressure, what I might do, so I start out here, maybe halfway up my rope. I'd start out real light, wiggle, and then if he needed to, I'd come up here with pressure from underneath. So I'd start out with a wiggle, and then I'd start driving from here and help encourage him. So let's go ahead and go back to the sending. We'll come around here. Maybe I'll switch him back this way. Just see what he does here. And we might just kind of let him track out here. And what we might do from here is we'll just throw in a little bit of a bonus for him. I'll send him around here, and then I'm going to back him up. So I'm going to send him flat to the wall, and I'm going to wiggle this rope. And notice there how he helps me. He softens on his own. He steps his feet back because he knows that there's going to be release in there. Just like here, he lowers his neck. He softens. A lot of times people, they get really weird about headsets and stuff. But I like my horses to just travel where they like. He's a short, compact quarter horse. They tend to travel with their necks down. I know that his sire did, and so did his dam as well. So I'm not surprised that genetically he kind of chooses to be relaxed like that. But when they're eating grass and walking around, they tend to do that. So I'm going to offer that wiggle. Keep wiggling there. He softens. And then we'll go the other way. Lead, lift, swing if needed. But notice he makes a change as I build the pressure. If they don't make a change, I build the pressure until they do. I'm not trying to hurt the horse, but I don't like to put a whole lot of effort into getting my horses to do things if I don't have to. I feed them enough alfalfa or whatever they're on. They should have some energy here. So I might send him up here and ask him to try a little harder. So there I sped him up into the lope, then ask him to stop a little harder. Whoa. There we go. Now we're not going to get into too much detail there, but those are just some little things you can do with your groundwork, because a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't need groundwork, or I don't want to do groundwork, or I don't have time to do groundwork, or whatever their little excuse is. Well, what if you're having trouble stopping your horse? What if you're having troubles getting your horse to lope softly? What if you're having troubles with your turnarounds and things like that? Well, you could start here on the ground with him. Here we worked on his walking, trotting, loping, his transitions, his rollbacks, his turnarounds, his backing, which also leads to his stopping. Then we worked on his stopping. All of this on the ground, and how long did that take me? Just a couple of minutes. Again, if it's winter time or maybe you're short on time or whatever you got going, you could just get your horse out, refresh a few of these things, be done for the day. By the time you have more time, say on the weekend or something, or whenever you have time to ride your horse, he's a little bit mentally ready for you, emotionally ready for you, and probably more physically as well, because he's had a chance to move around in the proper form and position throughout the week, even though you maybe didn't have time to ride. So those are kind of the basics. There's obviously a lot more to the groundwork program, but those are the basics I like to see to get my horse in balance, using the 4 phases, directing the 4 feet in 4 different directions.